Caitlin Clark just officially became the WNBA MVP frontrunner, and four-time MVP Aya Wilson is throwing a major tantrum that has sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Player of the Week awards, a Player of the Month honor, more weekly awards than anyone in the entire WNBA this season. That's the resume Caitlin Clark walked into this MVP conversation with, and it's the reason Wilson recently said something about Caitlin in an interview that she probably wishes she could take back. The jealousy is palpable, the frustration is real, and the gap between their seasons is only growing wider with every passing game. Do you think Caitlin will win MVP this season when the media eventually votes? Let me know down in the comments below.
If I had a vote, I would vote for her because nobody touches the ball more than her. The offense goes through her. I saw a stat that was remarkable in WNBA history. She creates either with her assists or with her scoring 40.5 points. 40.5 points is the average of an Indiana Fever game. That's how much she impacts the game. 4 straight Player of the Week. Her and Kelsey Mitchell, the best tandem in the WNBA.
That's the number Linda Kahn called remarkable for WNBA history. And it's how many points Caitlin Clark creates every single game once you count her scoring and her passing together. Not a typo, not a season total. That's a per-game average. And it's a stat the league has never really needed to track before because nobody was doing this much damage 2 ways at once. Here's what that number actually means. Clark scores 22.1 points a game on her own, which is already top 3 in this league. But she's also handing out 8.3 assists a game, the most in the WNBA. And when you add up the points those assists directly create, her total involvement jumps to over 40 points of offense every night. Box scores don't show that. If you just look at points, Clark looks like one of several good scorers in the league. But points produced tells you she's not competing with the field.
Does so much, and what does the word mean? Most valuable. I know A'ja Wilson, my goodness, of course, we know what she does. She's a machine. The stats are remarkable. She leads in scoring average and rebounding average and all of that. We get that. She's a dominant player. She's one of the all-time greats. But there's valuable in there. It's not most stats, per player. It's most valuable player.
Because she's the only player ranked top 3 in both scoring and first in assists at the same time. Not just in WNBA history, but also in NBA history. The numbers are staggering and they don't lie. The guys cashing in on that passing have names. Aaliyah Boston finishes inside off those bounce passes. Kelsey Mitchell cuts back door and Clark finds her every time. Sophie Cunningham spots up in the corner off a drive and kick. And Lexi Hull does the dirty work defensively that lets this whole thing function. Clark and Mitchell have both scored 20 or more in the same game 16 times this season, a WNBA record, and ESPN called this the hottest offense the league has ever seen. This didn't come out of nowhere either. Go back to the Puerto Rico World Cup qualifiers where Team USA went 5-0 and broke 14 world records with Clark running the show. She won tournament MVP as the youngest player to ever do it.
Look at Kelsey Mitchell and you look at Caitlin Clark and their chemistry, and you consider the fact that they were more than half of the Fever points tonight. Where have they found the improvement this season?
When it comes down to one word, it should be historic when you think of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, because they are putting up historic numbers together. This is the hottest offense the WNBA has ever seen, and it starts, and in some ways ends, with their backcourt.
Fastest to 700 assists in league history. The highest scoring average for a point guard in WNBA history. 7 games this season with 25 points and 10 assists, more than any player has had in an entire career. The numbers were already loud before a single award got handed out. 4 Player of the Week awards, 1 Player of the Month. Ask any other MVP candidate in this league if they can match that. And the answer is no. Not one of them can. These awards aren't some fan vote or media popularity contest either. Coaches and media members vote on Player of the Week honors every single week of the season, which means it functions like a running poll on who's actually playing the best basketball right now, not who played the best 3 years ago. And week after week, that vote kept landing on the same name. Wilson has 4 MVP trophies sitting at home, more career hardware than almost anyone in league history.
The meaning of valuable, the meaning of production. What's the difference? I say Caitlin Clark, she should be right up there with Asia Wilson. Olivia Miles, great rookie season. She's a rookie. She's not going to win league MVP.
Season, the weekly recognition wasn't going to her. Wilson picked up 3 Player of the Week awards this year, which is a strong season by any normal measure. Clark picked up 4, the most of any player in the entire WNBA, and she's the only player to hit that number 4 times. Look at the rest of the pack behind her. Olivia Miles, Marina Mabrey, Kayla McBride, Jessica Shepard, all tied with 2 apiece. Nobody else is close to Clark's total. And she also tied Tamika Catching's Fever franchise record from 2012 for most Player of the Week honors in a single season. June is where this really got hard to argue with. Clark strung together multiple 30-point outbursts that month along with double-digit assist nights on top of them. The kind of scoring and playmaking combination that usually doesn't happen in the same month, let alone from the same player. Voters gave her the Player of the Month award over established scorers who'd been putting up numbers for years because nobody else in the league matched production at that level for 4 straight weeks. And these awards weren't empty ones either, because during every single Player of the Week stretch Clark won this season, the Fever didn't lose a game. She beat playoff teams during these runs, too: the New York Liberty, the Dallas Wings, the Atlanta Dream, proving these weren't garbage time numbers padded against bad opponents.
Is so good reading defenses, knocking down her signature logo 3, but also is finding her teammates in ways that are amounting in career highs or just tremendous production offensively from everybody else. And then of course Kelsey Mitchell is just on the ultimate heat check. They have every answer for what the defenses have thrown at them. I think we should just stop and appreciate this, because this is truly history.
Her stat line barely moved from week to week during these stretches either. No cold shooting nights dragging her average down, no quiet games where the assists dried up. That kind of week-to-week consistency is what actually separates an MVP case from a hot streak. Every time a new award landed, MVP tracker sites adjusted her odds downward, meaning the money and the analytics both started pointing at Clark instead of Wilson. Add it all up and Clark sits on 5 major honors for the season between the 4 weekly awards and the monthly one, more than any other candidate in the league has managed to put together. And this wasn't just something happening inside NBA offices and box scores anymore, because television was about to make the exact same argument in a much louder way. 2.6 million viewers. That's what ESPN pulled in for the Fever versus the Dream on August 16th, and it's the most watched WNBA game ever on cable. Regular season or playoffs, doesn't matter. The fourth quarter alone peaked at 4 million viewers. For a league that spent years begging networks for cable slots and getting stuck on tape delay, that number changes the entire conversation about what this league is worth. TV deals get priced on eyeballs, plain and simple. And right now, those eyeballs follow one player wherever she plays. That ESPN number wasn't a fluke either. It came in 178% higher than ESPN's own WNBA regular season average from the year before. Some league executives and a few veteran players want to brush this off like ratings always bounce around and this is just a normal fluctuation. The numbers don't support that story. The 12 largest WNBA audiences since the year 2000 all happened in the past 3 seasons, and every single one of them involved Caitlin Clark, 9 Fever games, 2 All-Star appearances, and the draft itself. Look at ION, a network that only started airing WNBA games in 2023. The Fever vs. the Wings game on that network pulled 1.62 million viewers, the biggest audience it has ever had for a WNBA broadcast, peaking at 2.2 million during the Buchers-Clark matchup. The Fever also owned the top 10 most watched games of the entire 2026 season, with the New York Liberty game alone pulling 2 million viewers on ESPN, the third most watched regular season game on cable in league history. This isn't one lucky broadcast, it's a pattern repeating across every network that puts her on the screen. And it doesn't stop at basketball either. Clark's crossover into the LPGA drew record crowds and attention from an entirely different sports audience, proving her pull goes beyond anyone who already follows the WNBA. Forbes ranked her the 4th most powerful woman in sports, the highest-ranked athlete on that entire list, and Time named her Athlete of the Year. She's the only WNBA player to ever land on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. These outlets are measuring her endorsement value and her ability to move revenue outside the sport completely in categories the WNBA has never had a player qualify for before. Now put Wilson next to that. Her media footprint stays quiet by comparison. Strong inside the Aces market, but without the crossover moments or the national buzz following her outside of it. Money chases attention and sponsors follow the ratings straight to Clark's name on the marquee. The WNBA on ESPN networks is up 16% year over year, and that jump traces almost entirely back to Fever broadcasts. Networks in the league office aren't treating her like one option among many anymore. They're building the whole product around her. And basketball insiders had already reached the same conclusion because a decision was coming from USA Basketball that made this whole ratings story look like the undercard. USA Basketball just named Caitlin Clark team captain, taking the armband straight from Diana Taurasi after her retirement. This wasn't a media vote or a fan poll deciding things. Basketball people made this call. Coaches and committee members who spend their time watching film, not headlines, and they don't hand out leadership roles based on hype. USA Basketball watches everything, every training camp rep, every defensive rotation, every fourth quarter decision players make under pressure. Captaincy usually goes to whoever's been in the program longest, whoever's already got Olympic gold and championship rings sitting at home. And by that logic, Wilson had a real case. She's been part of that group since her Olympic runs. And plenty of veteran players with louder international resumes wanted that armband heading into Berlin 2026. Clark got it instead. And the reasoning traces straight back to 5 games most casual fans never even watched. The Puerto Rico World Cup qualifying run is where this got decided. Clark broke 14 records across those 5 games and won tournament MVP as the youngest player in history to do it. And coaches treated that stretch as proof of concept for what this offense looks like with her running the show. Her stat lines during that run included multiple 30-point games and double-digit assist nights on top of shooting efficiency numbers that had analysts comparing her possession-by-possession value to the best offensive players anywhere, not just inside the WNBA. Being captain isn't a ceremonial title either. It means Clark talks to officials during games now. She's the one coaches lean on to relay adjustments mid-possession, and she's first in line when reporters need answers after the final buzzer. It's a locker room voice role, meaning her opinion carries actual weight when the staff decides rotations or draws up late-game plays. And that's not something handed to just anybody. International coaches were watching the same film WNBA voters were watching all season, and both groups landed on the same conclusion at the same time. Sponsors moved fast once the news broke, too. Nike rolling out the Caitlin One signature shoe. Gatorade signing a $50 million deal. State Farm putting her in their first ever female lead spot. 2 completely different institutions, one basketball committee, and 1 league's worth of MVP voters reached identical conclusions using identical evidence. And every bit of that winning is exactly what pushed Wilson to finally say something out loud. She's privileged. 2 words, no explanation after them. And that's exactly what Wilson said about Caitlin Clark in a sit-down interview once the news broke. Not in the heat of a post-game scrum, not fired off in frustration after a loss. This came in a calm, controlled interview setting, which makes it land even worse because nobody forced those words out of her. Fans and analysts jumped on the irony immediately. Wilson grew up the daughter of a college basketball player and a Louisiana college trustee. Went to a private prep school and got recruited by every major program in the country. Calling anyone else privileged after that background doesn't hold up. And Twitter made sure everyone noticed within minutes of the clip going up. Now look at the free throw numbers because this is where the word privileged really turns on her. Wilson has led the WNBA in free throw attempts for 3 straight seasons, and fans have a name for it, the whistle. Officials call fouls on drives that barely touch her, and the trips to the line pile up in a way that no other post player in the league sees on a nightly basis. Compare that to Clark, who gets hammered on nearly every drive to the rim, bumped, grabbed, knocked off balance, and still doesn't see the whistle catch up to the contact. Clark ranks near the bottom of the league in free throw rate relative to how often she attacks the basket, which is the exact opposite of what privileged would predict. Then there's the sneaker business. Wilson's signature shoe, the Nike Ione, sat on store shelves at a discount within months of release, undersold and marked down while retailers tried to move inventory. Clark's Nike Kobe-inspired drop sold out within minutes every single time, resale prices climbing well above retail. If anyone in this matchup got the privileged treatment from the market, the receipts point the other direction entirely. Wilson also risks real money by going public with this kind of frustration. Sponsors don't like drama and the league office doesn't either, because every headline about jealousy between two stars pulls attention away from the product on the court. Letting your record speak, 4 MVPs and a championship run, costs nothing. Taking a shot at the player outdrawing you in every ratings category costs plenty, especially when the comment doesn't come with a single stat to back it up. This wasn't the first hint of frustration either. Wilson had already posted cryptic messages on social media earlier in the season, vague enough to avoid naming names, but timed close enough to Clark's biggest moments that fans connected the dots instantly. One comment might get brushed off as a bad day. A pattern starts to look like something else entirely. The word privileged backfired the second it left her mouth, because every number attached to Clark's season, the free throw totals, the shoe sales, the World Cup record, argues the opposite. And once the 2026 season tips back off, every matchup between the Fever and the Aces just got a lot more interesting to watch. 40 points produced a game, for Player of the Week awards, the biggest ratings in league history, and now a Team USA captaincy. None of that leaves room for an argument, and no amount of complaining from Wilson changes a single line of it. Betting against Clark this season means betting against the league's own numbers, the coach's own votes, and the network's own ratings charts. That's not a bet, that's ignoring the evidence sitting right in front of you.